This is going to be extra special. And Junior says we are live. So happy Monday, everybody. We hope you all had a wonderful autumnal weekend with lots of hay rides and cider and all that good stuff. And Googly Eyes is saying hello. So Nancy and I are very excited to have Gerald, aka TarotStache, aka Stash Man, as I like to call him, joining us this week for the discussion of sacred feminine symbols. So thank you for joining us, Gerald. It's a pleasure to have you.
I'm glad to be here. I want to remind everyone to do like and subscribe because it's free. I also, it's me, so I'm going to like flip through all of my cards, right?
Yeah.
This is for entertainment purposes only. Do not make decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance. Really.
We got to join Gerald when he does the really.
Yes. Kids, really. I'm looking forward to this. This has given me an opportunity to explore something with a slightly different frame of reference, because you and Nancy have been doing this show for the sacred feminine for quite a while.
About 2 years now. Yeah. Hard to believe. Time flies.
You were also, at one point, you were talking about symbols. And that's when I was like going, ooh, I totally want to be in on that. So that's how I weaseled my connection.
I think it was at one of my Friday night shows that I did. I didn't have a guest that week.
Could be.
And I was talking about symbolism, and you popped out. We talked about Lambrus, which I found, Gerald. There is one in downtown Ashland. I've been driving back
the
and
labyrinth.
forth, right past it. Didn't even realize it was there. So at some point this fall, I am going to be walking a Labyrinth, and maybe we can do a whole show on Labyrinth. That would be wonderful. So as Nancy and I, ended our show last week, we were like, yep, Gerald is going to join us, a gay man who is going to be joining us to talk about feminine genitalia. And
among other
things, but I wanted to make sure that was okay, to make that. And Gerald said he was going to come up with something wonderful because, and before you do, I just want to say gay men were one of the very first to embrace the goddess. They could acknowledge and feel that divine feminine within them. And there are many covens that are just gay men, as for coven, to honor and worship the goddess. So I just wanted to say, that for some people who might have thought or felt maybe Gerald may have been the person to be bringing on to talk about, this is perfect. He's perfect for this. And so I'm going to give that right over to you. Talk about that, Gerald. And then we'll say hi to some folks.
Well, yes, the way I approach this is, I'll tell you, the first thing I did, I got an anatomy book out and wanted to make sure that I understood what the correct terms were. So the vulva is the external part of the female genitalia. The vagina is the internal part of one of the internal parts of the female genitalia. Words matter.
Yes,
so I started actually, that was the second thing I looked up. The first thing I was curious about is what are some of the key symbols for the sacred feminine, the divine feminine? And I was like going, I did not realize that was one of the symbols for the sacred feminine. And then I don't know about all of you, but boy, that rabbit hole has been wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. So,
go ahead.
Well, I am approaching this very much from the perspective of an art historian and looking at this from the symbols and the symbology.
From like an anthropological kind of looking to see how cultures and
There's a $5 word there.
Today's show is brought to you by Anthropological.
Today's show is brought to you by Anthropological, which I cannot say.
So before we continue, I do want to let people know coming in, we're going to be saying hello shortly, but just a reminder that this is a show where we're going to talk about mature content. 18 and older is recommended. And YouTube, this is for entertainment purposes only, as always. We're just here to share and to educate and have conversations that need to be had. And so if conversations involving feminine genitalia is something that you may not feel comfortable with, that's okay. We just want to let everybody know that this may not be the show for you. So
Then feel free to go away. It's okay. We'll
yes,
wait.
there we go. I like that.
Are you
We'll
going
wait.
yet? I'm going to take a sip. Are you
Well, we
gone
say
yet?
hello to some people. So we have Jilly is here, Little Zen Crone, and she's going to be joining us probably next month. Jilly, I will get back to you. I just see the email. And of course, we have Gerald here with us and Miss Nancy. So who is next on our list to say hello to? Jackie B is here. Good to see you, Jackie. We have Shay, Magic with Moonlight. Sandy Black, hello, sir. Thank you for joining us. I know it's getting a little bit later across the pond with you, so we appreciate you spending time with us. And we have Viviani. Viviani, I have to get in touch with you too. I miss doing the animal oracle readings with you, my dear. We'll have to bring that back on the new channel. And we have Jax, Mangled Unicorn is here. Looks like you are at the right place. Yepers. And I think nope, we're still going down here. Okay, someone was saying hello. We have 16 people right now. So we have some lurkers. We have Pamela. Pamela has joined us. Carolina, Aquarius Tarot Adventures. Hello, my dear. Madame Maru is here joining us.
Oh, look who's in the house.
Oh, the queen herself, the goddess herself. I'm going to, at this, I did readings the other night and I looked at it and initially my brain saw the Empress, the queen. Turns out after I put the reading down from the start, I looked, I go, oh, wait a minute, that's the Nine of Pentacles. But it shows how spirit comes through, sometimes even for me, changing the image mentally, visually for me to be able to get a message through. So Miss Tarot D, the Empress, the queen herself. Hello, my dear. Thank you for popping in and saying hello. And we have Kristen Louise, who has been a guest numerous times with us on Divine or Sacred Feminine. We used to call it Divine. So already 19 people. So the lurkers who are watching, thank you for being here. Make sure to hit the thumbs up, subscribe, like, comment after, and all that good YouTube-y stuff. So, Gerald, do you want to start us off?
I do. Please keep me just like this.
Okay.
That makes me feel comfortable.
Me too.
So, I think one of the things that I really was excited about is this show is really exploring, from my perspective, cross-cultural sacred feminine symbolism. And I have an art historical, reverent, and curiosity-driven lens with this. Part of this from an artist standpoint and the symbols, it's a focus on fertility, generativity, protection, and reverence. So, and these are expressed through ancient figurines, ritual symbols, and feminist reframing. I think we'll all be talking about some of that. One of the things that I did, which I loved doing, here's a slight rabbit hole. In anthropology and religion, sacred means set apart, consecrated for communal reverence. And, fertility symbols appear globally as markers of life power and cyclical renewal and mourning and protection. Now, the idea of the divine, it is of deity or cosmic principle. And I love that, because this idea of the sacred, set apart and consecrated so everyone appreciates it. And the divine connects us to deity and cosmic principle. I love that. I don't so okay. Thank you. That was Gerald's geek moment. One of Gerald's geek moment. Hashtag some
Geek moment.
geek moment. So I'm okay. I am going to take a sip. What do you think about the difference between those two words?
And we have Beth here. And what were the two words again? I'm keeping an eye on chat.
Sacred and divine.
See now. Well, Nancy, did you want to go first?
Well,
And you can say no.
no, I was just thinking, to me, when I think of divine, I think of a goddess or a deity. When I think of sacred, I think of that which we make sacred, what is sacred to us, and like a sacred space or a sacred altar. That's how I feel about it.
That's great.
For me, sacred is always, to me, is a powerful word. It's a very for me, when I say sacred or I think of sacred, it's, to me, it's going at a place within where you tap into the divine. So they both go together fluidly. It's a real beautiful play between the two. For me, sacred doesn't feel that, I'm separate apart from the divine, because the divine is within all of us. So when I say divine feminine, sacred feminine, when I did the change of the name, it wasn't because I didn't think sacred and divine were two separate. For me, I wanted to show that the sacred feminine is within all of us, because I think it might be easier, because of when we being raised as thinking divine as something outside of us, something that is not attainable unto death, as some of us are raised to believe.
Okay.
So for me, the sacred is bringing back in the divine, and the divine is sacred. And so switching the sacred feminine within, it's to me, it's maybe more of a way of, how do I say, is bringing people into an understanding or an embracing of, or even empowering people to tap into that divine feminine that's inherently in all of us. So for me, sacred just holds very deep, profound connection to, yourself and your higher power, whatever that may be.
The reason this was important for me is the fact that there are many sacred things that are consecrated. They're specific for a specific reason. The divine, again, I love this. It has a heavenly or cosmic in origin. So when I'm thinking about these sacred feminine and the sacred feminine symbols, it bridges the gap between theology and it has a beauty about it. It's very much like artwork. Artwork is one of those things that symbols hold what language cannot safely or openly state. They endure across time as containers of reverence, fertility, identity, and protection. What did Beth say?
So Beth said, so divine has a humanity or human quality, while sacred is what we hold, the space around the divine. So that's beautiful too. I love that, Beth.
It is.
And when you said cosmic, it's also reminding that, a lot of the divine feminine, sacred feminine symbols, along with the masculine as well, are all reflected in nature. We see it in the cosmos. Everything is of cosmic universal origin. So there's nothing in nature or within us that isn't found within the universe or the galaxy. So again,
Yes.
it shows how deeply profound, and like you said, how it cross culturally with everybody, you know, and that's one of the things too. Art can transcend language. It's one of those things where we may not know what each other's saying. We draw a symbol. We know what that is in the early forms of communication. So again, it shows the power of symbolism over, you know, the written word as well.
Kristen Louise said 9 Worlds Tarot. Yeah, the opposite of sacred, profane, means outside the temple in Latin.
And Kristen has, Kristen, I think you said you have doctorate masters in theology and stuff. So she is very deeply educated in that. And Maru says sacred means spiritually significant and special.
So think about that. The words matter. If you were to, you know, thank you. We are all divine. If you were to think of your spouse, your significant other, as sacred, what spin would that give? If you recognize those around you as having being divine, it frames it very interesting. And I love that, Beth. What pops into my mind is
bones. Pam, bones.
Sacred as what we hold most dear, deepest memory remembering. Ooh, I love that.
Because our DNA can be found in our bones even after thousands of years. So again, where's the DNA from our bones come from? It comes from the connection of our ancestors and connects us to the universe. So again, there's always somewhere you can find the divine, you know, or the sacred in everything.
I love that. Am I going on too much?
No, I'm just trying to make sure that everyone gets, I try to make sure I'm keeping up with chat because I can't highlight and star comments with my StreamYard right now. So all art transcends words, rhythms, music, visual art, quilts, etc. And that's, yes, quilts and with yarns and stuff too, as I'll be able to share in a bit. And Jack says, sacred is a vibe. It's an area with enriched energy is held by a select few. Very cool. And Brina's here. Hello, Brina.
One of the things I was because the first symbol that oftentimes is talked about here's a personal story. Gerald went to art college, and in art college you have to take art history classes. In my first art history class, freshman year in college, we were in this dark auditorium, and the teacher flashes up a slide of I want to pronounce it correctly, the Venus of Willendorf, which is a small figurine. It's a Paleolithic limestone figure, 24 to 22,000 BCE, and she was having us describe it. Hey, Tom. Keep seeing those elephant herds stopping on their journeys to pick up and hold the bones of long gone
Do you hear that? Was that my? I didn't mean it. Was that my end?
I heard it.
Okay, your end. You weren't going. It was like an echoing. It was like a repeating.
Am I back?
Was that?
You're
back.
You're
back.
Okay. So the Venus of Willendorf, it's the professor had us describe it. You know, 40 kids in a dark room at 8:30 in the morning. They're all very quiet, but she has it's an emphasized belly. Gerald was
rapping.
It's an emphasized belly, breast, hips. It's been long associated as a fertility or abundance symbol. Now, there are lots of other symbols that are out there that are related to that. And some art historians go, maybe not. However, this is an anchor because there's this beauty in this because think about it. BCE, we were trying to survive. And so that fertility, this was one of the first symbols. So it might have been what's, I think, called a fetish, something you carry around with you. And so also, symbols have this great power they encode reverence. If we have a symbol and we all know what it means, and those who don't know what it means, they may just say, well, isn't that an interesting figurine?
Mm-hmm.
So
we have a question from Beth, if you want to take it right now.
Sure.
Beth says, what is sacred to each of us? I went to a quilt show with quilts the slaves and the sharecroppers made. They were made from work clothes. They were sacred to me. You could feel the divine.
I love that.
It's beautiful.
The energy that those held. Mm-hmm.
I agree. What is sacred to each of us? That's an important thing. So these symbols throughout time mean different things, and we build up with that. The yoni and the lingam are oftentimes in Hindu temples the symbol of the Shakti, the womb or the source, united with Shiva, the creative principle. There, I did it again.
It was going off a little bit. Yeah, you're back.
Okay. And what's what about that is the pair of those represent the cosmic generativity. This is how things continue.
Mm-hmm.
And there's beauty in that. Now, that being said, there are a lot of symbols out there for the vulva.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of them. They're beautiful. So many different cultures have them. Countries have them. Time periods have them. You may be looking at them and may not even know what that is.
And hidden in song lyrics as well, too.
Absolutely. Beth is like, and it's been downhill since the Romans, if you ask me.
Yeah, because Marute had a comment. Let me see if I can back up here. And I think I agree with her. The more the population has grown, the less sacred the bringers of life have become.
Yes.
Because it's kind of like taken for granted, you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so thinking about the symbols, so we have the Venus of Willendorf, the Yoni and the Lingam. We also have the Sheila Nagig, which is, do you still have a picture of that, Nancy? Do you have the card with that on it?
I do. I can get it real quick.
Well, okay, if you don't have it. That is a medieval stone carving in Ireland or Britain depicting women displaying the vulva. Now, the function of this is debated, which I love. I love when things get debated. Because is it warding, is it fertility, or is it moral teaching? And guess what? Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I was noticing that picture, Nancy. I was going, she looks awfully happy to be doing that.
Yeah.
And so I was also thinking about that as talking to some of my female friends. It's like, I wouldn't be doing that with my genitals because that actually hurts. I certainly wouldn't be smiling. So,
yeah.
So
I'm going to say I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
But yes.
Pamela said the further we move away from Mother Earth, the further we get from our sacred.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you, Kristen Louise, for reminding me, because I was going to bring a picture. I was hoping that painting I did would be here by now, and it's not. So I'm trying to find a reference. Oh, this would be a good reference too. Yeah. Anyway, continue, Gerald, unless you want me to move on.
Little Zen Crone said that the chariot in the RWS has the yoni and the lingam in the card. The High Priestess card is a depiction of the vulva. When you see it, you can't unsee it.
I'm looking for. There we go.
You may hate them. Georgia O'Keeffe did. She resented the way her flower studies were diminished by constant comparison.
I grabbed my book to bring some pictures. Yep.
And yes, I have thoughts on this, which I will share when as Heather is chatting.
I mean,
So
personally, I think she knew exactly what she was doing, but you know, I mean, you can't help but not look. Whether, I mean, to me, it felt very intentional.
mhm.
But you know, that's just Heather's opinion, you know, in my experience and what I see with them. But let me get caught up in here with chat. Much is designed to divide and separate us from all there is. You have to make time to center yourself and unplug. Yes. And Beth is here. Hello, Beth, my dear. Yes, the pomegranate are very vulva. Yes. Let's see. So let's see. One of the curators for the Museum of Modern Art said you shouldn't say you don't like a piece of art. You should say you don't understand it. That is awesome, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I like
Having been
that.
a guard in the art gallery, yes.
Oh, that's cool. So I'm gonna wind down, unless you want me to say more. But I think what's really important is whether one says it's sacred or divine. These symbols point to the they are important for the regenerative force. That, I mean, that's important because the symbols stayed regardless of what the theology did. They continue to safeguard, bless, and inspire.
Mhm.
I think a lot of times right now we're in a point where a lot of people are rediscovering what these symbols mean. So, and
Yes.
Nancy's got a whole bunch of stuff to cover.
And seahorses, the males give birth, which I find very interesting.
Mm.
Oh, wait a minute. Garnet said that. Excuse me, because I saw Elizabeth's name right under yours, Garnet. So I apologize. And Beth said again, it may be intentional in the sense that the flower can represent female genitalia, but she was right to resent the fixation and not go beyond. Yes, Beth, that I do understand, and I agree with. Goodbye, Miss Tarot D. Enjoy dinner. Mwah. Thank you for popping in.
Yes.
Much love. So, do you want Nancy to go, or do you want to share some more, Gerald?
Nope, go ahead. I have been rambling for 25 minutes.
Well, I thought it
Ramblings.
was fascinating, and I learned a lot from that, Gerald. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because,
Yes.
you know, I think a lot of us are familiar with the sign of the triple goddess, and I don't have a picture of it, but it is a moon, a full moon, and crescents going this way
Mhm.
on both sides of it. And the triple goddess consists of the maiden, the mother, and the crone. And the maiden represents youth, new beginnings, enchantment, and potential. And the moon phase is the waxing or new moon that is associated with the maiden. Also, people think of springtime, birth, curiosity, and independence. I have a picture of, here is the maiden, and it has innocence on the card. The mother embodies fertility, nurturing, stability, and power. And the moon phase is the full moon. The associations are summer, harvest, abundance, and protection. I associate the Empress with the mother aspect
Mhm.
of the triple goddess,
Mhm.
and the crone is where I am right now, and it symbolizes wisdom, experience, endings, and death. The moon phase is waning or the dark moon. And the associations are winter, rest, and completion.
Mhm.
There are goddesses that are associated with the three aspects of the triple goddess. And the Greek is Artemis, she's the huntress. Selene is the moon, and Hecate is the underworld. And most of I think a lot of people are more familiar with the three aspects with Hecate than some of the others.
Mhm.
The Celtic is Brigid, healing, smithing, and poetry, and also the Morrigan, the different aspects of the Morrigan. In Hinduism, it's the Trivedi, consists of Sarwati, Lakshma, and Parvati. And there are colors of the triple goddess. And the new moon is the white goddess of birth and growth.
Hmm.
The full moon is the red goddess of love and battle. And the old moon is the black goddess of death and divination. And I came across this: how to worship the triple goddess is to connect to her three aspects, the maiden, mother, and the crone, through meditation, ritual, and offerings, and create an altar with her symbols. Now, some of the things that I have is this is a symbol.
Huh?
And if you note, of course, there are the breasts, but also right here, I don't know if you can pick it up very well, but it's right where the womb would be.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nancy, go ahead, hold that back up. I put you on a bigger screen so
oh,
people could
okay,
see.
where you can see it. And I have this on one of my altars. Now I am not an artist by any stretch of the imagination, but I love to create. And so what I did, I guess a couple of years ago, is I got a block of red clay and I made her for my altar.
Oh, that's
And
beautiful.
I have found that when I create something, it has more meaning for me.
Yes.
I mean, I love this, but I'm more connected to this. And I have a place where I can put crystals here. And of course, she has the big breast. Now, a while ago, maybe a month ago or 6 weeks, we studied Venus of Willendorf. And I got a block of clay, and this is pretty awful, but this is what I came up with.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
She has got big boobs.
Yep.
She has got a great big belly, and she has got a yoni. In the back, and originally these were carved out of stone, and they were carried, like 40,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very sacred, and I don't know if everyone had them, but a tremendous amount of people carried these with them as they migrated from place to place.
Mm-hmm.
They took what was sacred to them with them, and I thought that was beautiful. Now, what I found in the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck is what it said for. Let me see here. Got to find the Maiden and Innocence. This was the card that I held up.
Mm-hmm.
It says the maiden's hour is dawn and her season spring, symbolizing eternal possibility and growth. As she embarks on this voyage of discovery, she explores her world with abandon. She is unburdened by preconceptions, opinions, and set ways. She is eager to learn and is comfortable with what she doesn't know. Virgin is often, I thought this was very interesting. Virgin is often used interchangeably with maiden. Comes from the Greek word for one unto herself, as the non-relational aspect of the feminine in all her glory. She stands her own ground, free of enmeshment, and pleases herself above all. She follows her inner drive towards developing the unique gifts that are her birthright. And The maiden invites you to step out of the idea that anyone completes you and to reimagine your own self-completion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the mother is nurturing, and this is the picture of the mother,
Mm-hmm.
that aspect. And whether or not you have chosen the path of motherhood, you are called to awaken the power of the Divine Mother. This abundant life force is not something that you have to pursue. It is ever present, ready to flow through you when you simply soften. In softening, like nursing breast, you open to the deliciousness of giving and receiving the supple vitality of the Great Mother. The verb nurse and nurture share the same Latin root, nutrire, meaning to feed and foster. Whether by offering a breast, a bowl of soup, or even a writing group, you align yourself to the generative essence of the Mother Goddess. Mother guides you to hold space for creation as vessel, creator, nurturer. And I thought that was beautiful. And the final aspect.
Hang on, Nancy. I love that. That is really well said. I also like how you were curious about what the words mean,
Mm-hmm.
because as we go from the distance of when words were first were used, there was a sacredness about it. We have removed it from the temple, as Kristen Louise said, and we've made it profane.
Yes.
So,
I mean, it used to be that the feminine was above all else, was so deeply revered. And the final one was the crone, and that is the card of wisdom. And here's the crone.
Nice.
And the wise woman represents the waning phase of the feminine life cycle, mirroring winter, midnight, and the dark moon. Poised at the doorway between death and rebirth, she holds space for completion. Crone shows you what it's like to be stripped of all pretenses and embellishment. In her noble dignity and honest imperfection, nothing remains but the naked truth that all wisdom is dynamic. To receive the gift of Crone, you must be open to perceive the eternal becoming revealed in the movement of sunrise to sunrise to sunrise, birth to death to rebirth. And in the marrow of this mystery, Crone teaches you to see more clearly. For your wisdom to be distilled, you cannot efface Crone. Living close to the bone, she looks towards the horizon of death to reveal what matters most. Turning your own thoughts to mortality, you realize that you do not have time for self-betrayal.
Ooh.
And
I like that.
What I think about when it was talking about wintertime, a lot of people say that they suffer through depression in the wintertime because the trees are bare and they look dead. And to me, in the wintertime, a bare tree, I think, is absolutely beautiful.
It is.
It, in many ways, is a symbol of the divine because it is, it's not dead. It's rejuvenating itself. It's getting ready for spring when it just bursts forth with new life. And I was also supposed to talk about the breast. And it's funny because when I made this, I made one not on purpose, but one breast is larger than the other. And as a former nursing mother, I am here to tell you that if a child nurses more on one breast than the other, you end up with unequal breasts for all eternity. Yes. But to me, when I was talking about the motherhood aspect of the triple goddess, it is being the empress. I felt like I was the empress when I was carrying my children.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a sacred thing, with my 3 children. Each birth experience was different. Carrying each one was different, but it was also precious. And I remember when I graduated from high school, my parents took me to Washington, D.C. as a graduation present. And we were in the National Art Gallery. And I had to go to the bathroom, and I went into this bathroom, and there were these long stalls, I don't know how many. And there was like a bench at the end of each one of them. And there was just pandemonium because there were all of these people. There must have been 50 people in that bathroom. And sitting on one of the benches was a young mother nursing her baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she was looking at the baby, and the baby was looking at her, and they were not aware of anything that was going on around them. And when I saw that, I said, one day I hope I can do that.
Aw.
I want to do that. I want my baby to look at me like that. Well, I'm sure if you're feeding a baby a bottle, it looks at you just the same way, but it touched me so deeply. And so to me, I don't know, Gerald, if there is a sign of the breast, like in a symbol of the breast. I did not see one, in the books that I have. But to me, that is such a beautiful symbol of nurturing and the continuation of life. Because way back when, like we're talking 40,000 years ago, that's how you fed your baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's what kept things going. And
like Isis and Horus, that was one of
mm-hmm.
the very first statues that we've seen where they honored and praised a woman or goddess for nursing.
Mm-hmm.
So back then, it was nothing to be shamed. It was something to hold
Mm-hmm.
in sacredness and high honor.
The Madonna and Child, where you see her nursing, is very much prevalent in the art world
Mm-hmm.
for exactly what you said, Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Until recent years, were not recent years, but as we moved out of like the Renaissance period, and they started again kind of wanting this immaculate pure, where she wasn't even allowed to show that type of bond or connection with Christ. It still shows that there were artists that still resonated and understood the sacred and the beauty from the past, and tried still incorporating that into the art as long as they could, to honor that.
And one thing that hit me when I was looking at this card, this maiden card, was, you talk about the maiden, the mother, and the crone. The maiden, you're a maiden. See the red? When you start your menstrual cycle,
you move into
the mother. Because even if you're 11 years old or 12 years old, you are able to create a life.
Yeah.
At that time. And when I was looking at this, I don't know if that was the reason the back of this card was red. Possibly. Or not, but that's what came to my mind, And I guess, a grandmother is nurturing also, but I am happy that I am able to experience my crone-ness, this aspect, because it's denied to many, and so I think it's a very sacred time, because it's a time when you were preparing for a new birth. That's the way I see it. It's moving on, and the 3 aspects that I have lived, each one has been precious. But with my crone years, I am more aware of where I am than I was in the other two, if that makes sense. And that's what I have.
And I knew a girl in college who was, we were in our 20s. We were still maiden, early mother,
Mm-hmm.
will be considered, but yet she'd had so many lifetimes, she was already crone. So that was interesting.
Yeah. It was, wasn't it? No,
So
it's my turn next.
Something, everybody, every woman, well, I shouldn't even say every woman, every person who connects with their feminine side go through, especially I'm going to focus, with women, but we can be at any age and experience a maiden energy. We can experience a mothering energy. It doesn't necessarily have to be the physical condition of our bodies as well. It's also a mindset. It's it's an emotion that we can all, tap into. Sometimes we need to manifest that to get us through certain times in our life as well. So not is it only physical, but it also, it's like an energy, like our court cards, or our tarot cards. Those cards could be for anybody. Look at the energy of it. So, but there's something I really wanted to share, because Nancy, first of all, hold on a second. Beth said, that sacred space right there, that in that women's restroom. She goes, no,
Yes.
that's sacred space. I had to share that. That was so beautiful.
True.
And Pamela's right. Cows are sacred in India because they are the sustenance of milk. And we have, the goddess like Hathor and Nut that are depicted as also, offering their breasts for the milk from their breasts. So it's not only considered life-giving for a child, but it also represents like the nourishing waters of the Nile. So those were little things here and there I was thinking of, Nancy, when you were talking. And Beth also said, and in patriarchy, the breasts have been diminished as sexual toys for men. Fear is a powerful destroyer. And what I have to say too is, and as women, there are those, that are still allowing that to happen. And I think that would be something for another topic, because I can get very passionate about that, because that's one of the things we still see in culture today, no matter if this is the 21st century or not. Women still being pitted against each other by the way their bodies are, what size their breasts are, what size their backside. I mean, it's still even though a lot of women are saying they're taking control of of their bodies and what they symbolize, I still think that there is still a thread of that misogynistic patriarchal that's still in there, and that's still being perpetuated. But I digress. That's a whole nother show. So let me get caught up with. Oh, go ahead, Nancy.
I was just going to say, I wondered if you had read those books that Jilly's talking about. This is the last comment.
Let's see. Okay, I'm just kind of catching up with chat. Jealous man wants to deny Jill. But that could possibly be true. And Beth said, good interpretation of that red there in the card, Nancy. And Maru says, well, I always thought of it more as virginity than ability to bear. Okay, that's a different concepts. And whether producing a child comes from it, the red represents the milestone into womanhood.
Yes, and that's a key part. That is an important movement. And Nancy, you said that quite beautifully. It is a symbol known for moving from maid into the mother aspect. So it's and oftentimes celebrated rather than looked down upon.
So here we go. Has anyone read Goddesses in Every Woman or Goddesses in Older Women by I've heard of this author, but no, I have not. My first book into, the divine maiden, mother, and crow was DJ Conway's book in my 20s when she came out. And let's see, Heather, women mostly pit against each other by class and color, in my opinion. A whole lot of it. Yep, and we got you, Jilly. So is there anything else that Gerald or Nancy wanted to add before Heather kind of jumps into her thing?
No, I think
I think I would say what's really important, what's happening is there's this natural cycle. The symbols have been chosen to represent these different cycles. It is what has happened around those symbols, what the culture has done where they have changed it. Whereas in your Venus of Willendorf, large breasts were power. They were, they were needed. That's how you nourish. That's how you survive. It's when the cultures shift it and they lose the connection to, I'll just say, the practicality of what's going on. So.
Well, talking about that, are the mammies back in the South that were used as wet nurses. The mothers didn't nurse their babies. The mammies just nursed for generations practically.
Yeah. So were we all ready to before we do, let's see. Beth says, back to breast a moment. Do we realize how many black slaves? Oh, there we go. That's what you were just saying.
Yep. Just
yeah. Oh, I hadn't seen that. Yes.
Bothered. Yep. So yes. And another thing connected with the female breast, with the beautiful statues with Willendorf and all of them, is their connection to the chalice symbol. And so I'm going to kind of start from there, seeing I think that's a good segue. And when we were talking about breasts, I have the Fyodor Pavlov deck. And in most traditional RWS, the Empress is covered in her gown. Her stomach being pregnant is usually, what's enhanced. And with Fyodor's is that he wanted to acknowledge that, because in this card, there isn't a sense of pregnancy, because not all women are born to have children, and he wanted to provide a different perspective, but he did enhance and expose the breasts in his artwork, and I thought that was something very beautiful, acknowledging this is where we where we find again our substance. And in the picture, she's like kind of removing her heart and holding her heart, but it's showing how much the love that she gives. And like with the chalice, you have the water, next to her, which is also sustained and life-giving. And I think I'm going to jump right into, because you are bringing up so many things and all other ones that I wanted to. Yes, darn it. I love that. And hello, Keith, how are you? So sticking with the chalice, really quick. Let me find my notes here. In Latin, it was known as calyx, cup, or goblet. So the chalice, again, the cups that are featured in our tarot decks. It was also back in ancient Egyptian and Greece, because what we're looking at with the chalice is a lot of people automatically think of, the Christian faith, the cup representing, holding, the blood of Christ. But Christianity took that from the early goddess peoples. The chalice, along with the Holy Grail, before that was actually a feminine symbol. It was part of even nowadays neo-pagan rites of, the blade and the chalice. The blade was considered the penis, and then the chalice was represented the goddess's vagina, and coming together, the sacred rite to bring life forth. So a lot of that was still early on. The cup was always considered, the chalice was the womb. When you think of chalice, you think of also cauldron, where life comes, Caradwin's cauldron, the place where the rebirth, the transformation from one life to the other, also representing that fullness of the womb.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, the womb, the container of life, the holder of life.
And so with the chalice, and I'm going to disappear for a second, because I got to go to but people can still hear me. So hopefully this stays with me. So, okay. So in my article that I'm looking at here, so again, they mention, the beginning of Christian Eucharist, but it goes even further. In ancient Egypt, Greece, and continuing forward in practices of witchcraft, Wicca, and other pagan traditions. And in ancient Egypt, I did not know this, but goddess Hathor was linked with the chalice. She was also a goddess of love, fertility, and motherhood. And it represented, like we talked about in the beginning, the creative forces of the universe. So, again, another symbol representing that. And of course, the symbolisms of the chalice has been the divine feminine, the Holy Grail, the Christian mythology of, searching for that grail along with the Arthurian quest for the Grail. And the question usually proposes, what you are in search of or where you are seeking is seeking you. And so again, that chalice again was the search for the goddess, the return to the goddess, and connected to again Avalon, the sacred priestesshood, and which is going to now kind of bring me into. Give me a moment here to switch up the symbol on the chalice well, which is located in Glastonbury. And it is the Vesica Piscis. And, most people associate that with as a Christian symbol thing because it looks like a fish's bladder. And because, the apostles were the fishermen, the fishers of men, that's where it got its association. But it's even older than that. It was very much connected to Venus, Aphrodite, and of course, yes, again, connected to fish. But when we look at the chalice well, again, it's the source of life. In Glastonbury, the waters run red and white. And so a lot of the times, the Christians will look at this and see that as the blood of Christ, whereas the waters running forth, through and from the well and from the underlying water systems is going to be actually the blood, the goddess, the ever giving life. And the white, where some will say the white represents the semen, but it also represents the womb fluids, that come forth when you give birth. So depending on the spirituality that you're a part of, again, like Gerald, you said earlier, cross-cultural, connections to these symbols. And so let me go to my next, which is the talking about art and with the vagina, with the vulva, we come across Judy Chicago. And for those who may not know who Judy Chicago is, she is still with us. She is a feminist artist. Got her goings in the 70s. She was actually in the 70s. She founded the very first feminine art program in the United States at the California State University at Fresno, formerly known as Fresno Community College. And what it was a large collaborative. Here, put me in the screen for a second. So, I lost my, can everybody still see me?
Yes.
Mhm.
I lost my, I can't see chat now. Shoot. But maybe they'll bring it back up. So I can't see chat. I'll have to bring it up on my phone. So with Judy Chicago, she created something called the dinner party. And it was to celebrate, the feminine vagina, vulva. It was step into feminist art. And speaking of George O'Keeffe earlier, she was incorporated into this dinner party, which apparently she did not like because, again, of her connection to, her artwork being very sexual in nature. And I couldn't find it in my book, but I just had this on my phone. This was a painting I had to do in college. I had to reproduce one of her.
Oh, that's your painting?
Yeah, this was a picture because I couldn't bring one up out of the book. So I just decided to use my painting as an example, but I had to copy something of hers. And so this is what I chose. And it's kind of hard to see, but we've all seen the images of her art as such. I see new comments. There we go. I'm back with my comments. So she wanted to present a whole dinner party, and let me go back out to kind of discuss who was involved with this. So the article, she had 39 elaborate place settings on a triangular table for 39 mythical and historical famous women. Sojourner Truth, Theodora of Byzantium, Virginia Woolf, Georgia O'Keeffe were among some of the people that were a part of this. There were also, here, let me just back this down a little bit. Each plate, except the ones corresponding to Sojourner Truth and Ethel Smith or Smythe, depicts a brightly colored, elaborately styled vulva form. The settings rest on intricately embroidered runners executed in a variety of needlework styles and techniques. The table stands on the heritage floor, made up of more than 2,000 white luster glazed triangular tiles, each inscribed in gold scripts with the name of one of 998 women and one man who have made a mark on history. The man, Cresselis, was included by mistake as he was thought to have been a woman called Chrysilla. So the dinner party was produced from 74 to 79 as a collaboration and first exhibited in 79. And despite, people's reactions to it, it did tour 16 venues in 6 countries on 3 continents with a viewing audience of over 15 million. It was originally retired to storage from 88 to 96 because it was starting to suffer from constant traveling. And then in 2009, it became a permanent exhibit in the Elizabeth A. Sackler Center for Feminist Art at the Brooklyn Museum in New York. So let me come back to the live. And so this was, and I included a little tiny documentary. It was like 6 minutes, but she talked about it and showed some of the creation of this. And at one point, with all, the criticism and the hate mail and stuff she was receiving, Judy was at one point suicidal, unfortunately, but she got support. She stood by her work. And to this day, and in 2018, was one of Time Magazine's top 100 most influenced people. So her work, she's still with us. She's still, paving the way for women artists, feminine artists, and so yeah, I mean, to keep reading on that would be just, it would be like a whole show that would have to be dedicated to something like this. And I'm just going to take a quick look at chat because there was another individual I wanted to share. Okay, let's see. Let me back up. So, okay, sustenance, let it be. Okay, so let's see. Beth says, Cups of Pentacles and the Swords and Wands, balance yin and yang energies. Yes. The Coup champagne glass was modified to hold a breast. Okay, and then Keith is sharing some insights. Let's see. Yes, I am thrilled to thank you, everybody, for joining us, and make sure to subscribe to Gerald, Nancy, myself, and if you can, after the show, to leave a comment to let us know that you enjoy the content, even if it's just an emoji. And again, we appreciate your continued support in showing up. So let's see. Garnet, the Earth horse representing the sun. Yep. Garnet is full of so much information. Heather, Judy Chicago's dinner party, one of my favorite art pieces. I've never gotten to see that. Unfortunately, maybe someday if I ever make it back to New York. It was a huge and impossible art project to exhibit and had to be cut down and a bridge to travel. Let's see. One of my favorite plates is Emily Dickinson. Same here, Beth, but Joy Harjo has my heart. And Tom, thank you. We appreciate that. Let me see. There we go. Some good educational content to listen to while I finish up work for the day. Well, thank you. And so moving from Judy Chicago to another woman who, Judy, this woman, but even when I first heard this, I was like, what's going on with this woman? Why is she doing this? And I was one of the first ones to judge harshly right away. But now that I'm a bit older, I understand what she was doing or attempting to do. And who I'm talking about is Casey Jenkins. She did a performance piece called Casting Out of the Womb, where she celebrated her ability of menstrual cycles for 28 days by inserting yarn within her womb and crocheting the beauty that came out to represent the beauty, trying to break that stigma. And I believe that was around 2013 when she did that. And then later on, she released another small documentary where she read the horrific things, not only just from men, but from women as well. So even today, there is still that strong stigma, but it still shows that there are women willing to go out on a limb artistically to express their um, their love for their bodies, their connection, their sacred connection to their bodies. And I didn't get to find anybody specifically, but also wanting to mention that there are some women who do paint with their menstrual blood. Now, for me, I have a little bit because I mean, that's a very powerful thing to do. I think if you're doing magic work and spell work, that's something I can understand. But to be able to do that and then go sell that, to me, I don't know. That's a little something, but for to me, it's still a powerful because we use, some people use the blood of animals, pigments and things to paint and to create that, like that primitive art, like we were talking about earlier. And so again, it's just try to step back and try to put things in perspective, even like you don't understand the work or you don't like it, try to at least understand where this individual was coming from. And another thing I want to mention, if I may, is kind of looking at music a little bit. So Tori Amos, as some of you may know, she was also someone who took who had, let me see, she was raised by a Methodist father in a Methodist home, but yet a lot of her music was sexually charged, and not in a way of, but it was for empowerment. It was to challenge the patriarchy. And for some of you who may know, she was, after a concert when she was sexually assaulted at night point woo, by two male concert goers, and instead of turning that in and like, she took power over her body. And what happened when she lost that control, because still this day and age, men still feel that they have, for some reason, and I just don't want to say men, but because I know women can put all sorts of inflict cruelty on another, but talking about the unit, you can't talk about the power that has. And when men fear it and they want to attack it or try to, I'm going to be careful because I know that this may be triggering for some, but for her ability to take her power back, over her body. She did a song called Me and a Gun, but she also, on her other albums like Icicle, she was talking about pleasuring herself, and not being ashamed of it. We have Ani DeFranco, who talked about the vagina and the vulva, and yet she wanted to challenge, and I will be very careful with this word, but that's weird. I wonder what's doing that. I don't know, maybe it's YouTube doesn't like what we're talking about here. But there is a song that Ani has done that referenced, and I will have to use an acronym, but I'm sure people will understand what it is because of YouTube. But see you next Tuesday. That is a word that has a lot of negative energy, but also has a lot of positive and empowerment behind it. So again, another reference. And some women like Ani and other performers feminists trying to take back that word and taking it and making it, their own. Whereas from those who wanted to desecrate it, to empowering it and making it a powerful word again. and to take power back and take power over something that is a part of our bodies. And so this, like, again, this was a very deep dive, and I know we can go through a lot more of this in detail in another show, but I just wanted to kind of bring some of this forward. And yeah, I hope, I covered pretty much everything that I wanted to. And I'll probably, after the show, go, ah, damn, I wanted it, I'm sure it happens to a lot of us. But comedians, yes. She is a force as well. I believe I've seen her. Garnet sharing, Tracy Emmons, I've never heard of her. But yeah, to
yeah,
each their own. So
yeah.
I just,
She's funny. I've seen her.
let's see. Don't forget to thumbs up. Yes. So I'm just making sure I didn't miss any comments. And thank you, Jax, for all the links. I appreciate that so much. You can always do a part two. Yep, we'll do a show where we focus on one individual. So yes.
I think it is interesting to me. We've started it with these core symbols, these sacred symbols that run across different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Aztec, Japanese, African, a lot of different symbols. What happens is these symbols, the culture changes around them. The need to come back and to reclaim them is a significant part of that. It really does go into the artistic side of that. How does one reclaim these things? Reclaiming is an extremely powerful and necessary thing to have happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I appreciate what you're saying with that. I think it's like what goes back to what Beth said. The idea of is this like, it's like it, well, or was that you, Heather? If you don't like a piece of artwork, I don't understand it. And then you get to decide, do I want to investigate further?
Yeah.
Like with everything, what is it about this that I like? What is this that I don't like? And what's that say?
Exactly. We haven't gotten any other comments, but I know it can be. Oh, I can't think of the word right now. We're polarizing. You know, but it's all about what's right for each of us, and it is about reclaiming. It is about empowering. And I keep wanting to say, but it's reclaiming again. Like nowadays in some music, there are some women that are singing and saying and performing certain things that to them that they're reclaiming, but myself, I could still see it's almost still falling back into the old way of. But again, I will digress from that. But we can't really do a show about something like this without mentioning like Madonna. Back in the day, Madonna really pushed the boundaries of what, was acceptable. A lot of times she was, it was like, well, they want to tell me what I can do with my body, but the minute I want to display or show or perform a certain way with my body, then all of a sudden I'm dirty, I'm a this, I'm a that. So whether you like her or she really did push the boundaries. I mean, back in the day, just to see the belly button was like, oh my God. And now compared to what you see, you cannot see when you look at things in social media. But she was one of the ones that's, basically said, if you don't like it, then don't look at it, don't buy it. Everybody has a right to express themselves. So another person that
I
could
see
have
what you just
possibly,
did there.
yeah,
Express for themselves.
express yourself. So,
Yeah.
continuing onwards, yeah. I mean, her sex book, I saw that and I thought, good freaking Lord, what are you? That was before, I was still in my early 20s, but now I'm a little bit older. I understand the point of why she did a lot of that was to say, I'm going to do what I want with my body, not what So it was
Bye, Beth.
really, oh, bye, Beth. So again, a lot of this too is about reclaiming, And again, that's another conversation, the way some of us or some women in society or in social media today or in the public image, how they want to how they see about reclaiming the body, the feminine body and their sexuality. And having an open and healthy conversation and or debate about what could possibly what involves that and what would be the consequences of such as. So
Well,
I will end myself on that.
I think my takeaway from all of this, really for me personally, is the importance of these sacred symbols. And how, like what Gerald was saying, is how it travels, from culture to culture, absolutely all the way around the world. And I think a lot of it in our modern day times has been lost because of our culture. But I feel like us being here today is we're trying to bring back that sacredness,
Mm-hmm.
or shining a light on it, on something that maybe some people think is ugly, but we can appreciate the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It
Yes, it
does.
does.
Okay.
I
Because
also
sometimes
like
I say stuff that doesn't make sense.
I also like these symbols have survived, whether they're carved in stone or in bronze and painted, whispered in a ritual. It doesn't really matter. What's important is they're sacred feminine. It's not an artifact. It's actually a living presence. And that's not owned by history or doctrine. Remember that the sacred feminine is there. It's
She's
not
sovereign.
it's not reduced to metaphor or anatomy. It's carried generation to generation, and to those who remember that life itself is holy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sacred.
Yes.
Yes.
So there you
Like
go.
they say, there's a little witch in every woman. There's sacredness, in everybody. People just have to remember what that is and to be able to not be afraid. I think a lot of times we can get more in touch with the sacred if people were more open into touching and opening into their goddess. It would bring a much more healthier balance between the male and the female energies if she was embraced and welcomed more. So
I love what Garnet just said.
Yep. Building bridges to embrace our cultures. Yeah.
And doing that with reverence and curiosity.
Reverence. Yes.
I think this is an important thing. I mean, it's, the symbols are around. They speak beyond generations. We're still talking about the Venus of Willendorf. How old is that?
Venus de Milo.
Yeah, the Venus de Milo, the Isis and Horus. These are things that are still engaging us. It's important to remember that.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Well, Gerald, we are at 3:19. Now we weren't planning on doing any personal readings, but we did discuss about doing a collective. Do you have time, Gerald, for just a quick collective reading for everybody for the week?
Sure.
And then they'll bring us up to 3:30. And I know you've been very busy. You got another show tonight, I believe, Gerald. What you got going on your channel while we're doing this?
The best thing to do is to subscribe.
Yes.
That's how you stay notified.
There you go. But do you have anything going on tonight?
Dishes and a walk.
Dishes and dinner. Yep. That's on my agenda too. Well, he takes care of the dishes. I do the cooking. Sacred humanity. Yes, Pamela, that's beautiful. The sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. And where I'm living at right now, there is a certain part of the park that I go to, and I could actually not clearly see, but within my mind, just boom, they were right there. There was a beautiful masculine and feminine energy with greens and flowers and sun around them, and just a beautiful, loving energy on the pathway near the creek, near the water. And so every time I go to that park, I make sure I go there to honor them both and to acknowledge that they're both within me. And I leave a small offering. So, yeah.
Well, I have 3 cards. And I pulled from one deck, the Sacred Feminine, Seeds from the Sacred Feminine. And my first card is Make a Sacred Space.
Ooh.
The second one is Express Your Love. And the third one is Play a Drum. Now, I don't know how many of you have a drum, but you know, you can find them that are inexpensive. And there's something about playing a drum that it's an ancient experience, and it's a sacred experience. And you know, really, a drum, I'm sure, is a sacred symbol.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would recommend. I have a little drum, and I love either playing it with the little stick that went with it or my fingers. And it takes me back. It's something that's so ancient, it's in the bones, you know?
Yeah,
So
women were the drummers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think the reason the drum is so good for many of us, it reminds us of the heartbeat, where we were in the womb,
Yes.
when life was beginning. How's that for bringing it back to the sacred
Oh,
feminine?
yes.
There
yes.
you go.
That's beautiful, Joe.
All we need now is a fan through. Oh, so he's going to grab it. There you go.
There you go.
Did you want to go next, Gerald?
Yes, the card I got is the moon.
Oh.
And the night journey. Part of what goes on is we need to honor all of the things we are experiencing and trust the intuition. We have to also understand our life rotates and revolves because of the phases of the moon. Pay attention to those and honor those this week.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful. And what I have 3 for my glyph, and these are just perfect. I got pyramid, which is mystery. And we were just talking about ancient Egypt, and again, the connection to the divine feminine, especially in the Egyptian sky and how it was sacred, the Milky Way, the spilling of the breasts, the milk, the nourishing for the Nile, and realizing that there is a sacred mystery, the unknowable mystery that is still out there. But we are all still, even though it's unknowable to most of us right now, it's still there. We can sense it, we can feel it. It's made present in creation, and this is the creation card, spider. So I can think of grandmother spider, who weaves her cosmic web, bringing everything together. Another symbol, you know, animals that we didn't connect with, the spiders, the snakes, things that have transformation or connection. And as we go through this week too, making sure that we sit in sacred smoke like our grandmothers did, our ancestors did. It was cleansing. It connected us to our guides, our higher selves, our divinity, and allowed for sacred space to take place. So that's what I have for the reading for the show. So.
I would like to mention one thing. If you have the opportunity tonight and tomorrow night, go outside when it's dark and look up, because there are meteor showers that are supposed to be very easily seen these 2 nights. And that's what I'm going to be doing. And think of all the ancestors that looked up and saw something just like that. Only
Just
they
like
got
that.
to see it better because there weren't lights back then like we have now.
All right, so
yeah, that's great.
Okay, so everybody, please again, please subscribe to our guest today, Gerald, so that you know when he goes live. to Nancy. Nancy's going to be doing a show tomorrow. Nancy, you said with Ginger
Yeah,
Faye.
with Ginger Faye, right? And then I'm gonna try and slow down a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. And then Wednesday, I will be back with Jackie's Crystal Moon, and we'll be starting the swords, the quartz cards for the swords with the page. And so everybody, and Gerald, thank you for
Oh,
joining
it's
us.
been wonderful,
This
Gerald.
was a
Thank
great
you.
conversation. Yes.
I'm glad to have been part of it, and you know, I
always welcome
encourage
back.
people. I always encourage people, if stay open and curious about what you don't understand, and to be willing to explore and be willing to be surprised by what you discover.
Exactly. So everybody have a great rest of your day, your night. Thank you again so much. Have a great week, and we'll see you in the next show.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you again.